G'day YouTube, how the heck are we doing? It is Foul Play here. We're back for some more modern action, going into the new year now. The deck's been pretty reasonably placed in my opinion for the last few months, so we're going to continue working with it here today. No changes to the main deck. With this sideboard actually, I have made a couple of changes. So we removed Void Mirror, which was in there for Cascade matchups, in addition to Chalice of the Void. So Chalice of the Void's really easy, you can slam that on 0. Stop the rhinos from entering, stop livering in from happening, but it's a little bit weak into the other Cascade decks such as Calibrated Blast, but they're probably less frequent. So Solitude is an interesting one because it does actually have that overlap with the with Void Mirror, with Chalice of the Void. Let's say for example you're versing Living End, they cast Living End, you can evoke Solitude in response. If there's no other targets, you can exile your own Bogle. Solitude will hit the graveyard and then it will end up back in hit the graveyard, end up back on the battlefield once the Living End resolves, at which point you'll have a lifelink 3/2. You'll potentially get back your Sentinel's Eyes and your Rancor, and hopefully you've held like one first strike effect and all of a sudden you're in a really good spot to beat down again on your opponent. Now the sideboard here is quite interesting because we are running 13 out of 15 cards that can be cast for 0 mana with the Leyline, Solitude, Force and Chalice of the Void. Pithing Needle once more is a little bit of tech that catches all into like Emery, Engineered Explosives, Blast Zone, Besieges that get reoccurred with Renin 6, etc. And Gadok Teague in there, mostly for Tron, maybe a control pile too. With all that out of the way, let's get into the league. Alright, here we are for match number 1. We won the die roll. I think this hand is just good enough to keep. Probably would be slightly better if this Besieges was a white mana source rather than just a solo green source, but we have like a beatdown for 4 on turn 2, which is pretty reasonable. Opponent has Mulligan do 6 here today. And opponent leads on Valakut there, so gonna be a pretty interesting one. I guess it's a combo deck of some description. If it's Upsil spells, maybe we want to lead on Floofy Paw's attack. I'm still not super familiar with the modern metagame. I think I'm gonna just like try to high roll the Floofy Paws here and see what happens. Just attacking for 1 with the Bogley boy there. Alright, turn Timber, Cymberwine Wood. So I'd say it's highly likely that this is Upsil spells here at this point. Manamorphose. Hopefully we don't get blown out by Blood Moon. That would be a pretty unfortunate one. Recross the paths. Jinkies. Well, there you go. Goblin Charblecher is pretty similar to Upsil spells. And I think if we draw a green aura here or a white aura, we can actually kill our opponent. So you can see here in my opponent's list of cards, they've got 4 Pact of Negations actually, an Engineered Explosives, 4 Charbelchers, and then 2 Blood Moon there. Maybe there's more in hand. But yeah, that's mostly what we're versing pre-board. Alright, so with Recross the Path, we can see Sentinel's Eyes on top there. We'll keep that on the top of our library. So now it's quite straightforward. As long as we don't play Ethereal Armor first, we're good to get there. So this first one, we tutor out Ethereal Armor. Ethereal Armor, tutor out Rancor. And Sentinel's Eyes, tutor out Audacity, I suppose. That's well and truly lethal. Go ahead and attack for 21 on turn 3. Alright, that's something that Core Spirit Dancer cannot do. Alright, so here we can see an example list of a Charbelcher deck, although we did see that during the match there with Recross the Path. We can see interaction of Force of Vigor, interaction of Magus of the Moon. So that should be about what we have to worry about. Reminder guys, if you do enjoy the video or find it informative, please consider subscribing. Alright, so there's potential for us to bring in Leyline of Sanctity here because it does stop the target from the Charblecher activation. I think that maybe it's probably just a little bit vulnerable. Gadok Teague will stop them from casting it altogether, so we'll definitely bring in Gadok Teague. Let's just look to be as fast as possible. We'll trim out on some of our slower stuff here. And then we'll get into it. I don't want to overboard too much. Alright, so our opponent mulligans to 6. I think there's potential to keep this hand, but personally I believe that it's just a little bit too slow. Let's go ahead and mulligan and look for maybe a hexproof creature or one with Floofy. This one doesn't have green mana, unfortunately. Opponent's down to 5. They probably mulligan a little bit better than we do. Goodness. So 5, we can keep Rancor, Daybreak, Force Land. Dried Arbor, attack for 3, look to draw a green card for interaction. Green card land. Yeah, I'm not in love with this, but I don't think we're going to see a better 4. I think we're forced to keep this one. So bottom, Temple Garden, Windswept Heath. Spike Caves in tapped for the opponent, and we find a Bogle. Alright, well that's a pretty reasonable start. Let's go ahead and cast that one. To play around Magus of the Moon, Windswept Heath probably searches Plains. It's going to be a bit of a slower match from our end here. Alright, so opponent plays Shadow Skull in tapped. I think we leave this Windswept Heath untapped because we've got 2 lands on the bottom. We don't want to shuffle those back in. We do find a green card off the top. Guess our opponent could just like Force of Vigor us before we attack here, but I think we just attack in, just pretend they don't have that. We do have our interaction at instant speed. Reforge the soul from our opponent. And, well, we've got a fresh grip now. Pretty wild. 2 mana from the opponent. They could Ritual into Moon. Manamorphose. Pyretic Ritual now. 2 mana floating. Desperate Ritual. 4 mana. Charblecher. Well, we're like really lucky to draw the Boseiju, right? Opponent's writing like GG's. Not quite opponent. Let's go ahead, fetch a forest, play as clinically as we can. Alright, Rancors for as much damage as possible. That's an attack for 10. Wow, alright. Well, that was a scary matchup. We did have the Archer for Belcher. Our opponent was just slightly too slow to get that online. Fortunately, we dodged the interaction that would have blown out our Daybreak Coronet plan. So, yeah, good game. See you for round 2. Alright, welcome back for match number 2. We won the die roll. No creature in hand, so we'll mulligan. This looks perfectly fine. We'll keep this one. Versing BM take this match. And our opponent keeps 7. We might as well keep the spare hexproof creature in this spot. The 3rd mana maybe is relevant into Spell Pierce, but most other things it won't be relevant into. Botanical Sanctum. Okay. Is this Neoform? Don't like what we're drawing currently if it is. That's a little bit slow. Anyway, we'll just continue with the plan. Go on attack in. I suppose it could also be Infect. Those are the 2 decks that come to mind when I see Botanical Sanctum. Alright, well, opponent cycles Strip River Winder, so I guess this is Living End. That's kind of exciting. We'll get to test out the tech into them. Well, our draws have been all creatures, but I don't know, maybe we can survive what they're doing. Opponent cycles Waker of Waves. And we can see Architects of Will also into the graveyard there. Opponent shocks in Steam Vents. I guess this means instant speed to Violet Outburst from them. We have no ways to put our own creatures into the graveyard, unfortunately. Dried Arbor is a pretty bad land to draw. We do have good rebuild potential afterwards. It's just getting to it. So Scout Attack, I'm sure Violent Outburst into Living End. We get some information as well off the top. Alright, so what do we see here? Some Grief, some Force of Negation, Fire Ice, more Waker Waves, more Architects. Yep, so everything seems mostly standard at the moment. In response, opponent cycles Street Wraith, so that's going to put a 4th creature into their grave. Our creature goes away, goes bye-bye. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of target player's library, put them back in any order. Well, strange that he's targeting us here. Not really, not strange at all. So currently our opponent has access to 7, 12, 15, 18 damage next turn, so that's not us quite dead. Let's like Floofy Boars and try to win on Crackback. I guess it could get like burnt out or tapped by Fire Ice, and that would be unfortunate, but we're losing if this creature does not do its thing. Alright, opponent with Grief. I suppose that strips away our Rancor. Then we're going to have to see what happens after that. I'm assuming they didn't put an aura on top of our library, but maybe we get lucky. Opponent attacks in. I'm not interested in blocking here. We'll take the damage, go to 2, try to kill on Crackback. It's our only chance. Oh, our opponent left us with an aura on top. How nice of them. Alright, well, let's just hope they don't have the burn spell. Force of Negation, pitch to counter. Alright, that's going to be game. Alright, so here we can see a Living End deck. This specific version does not have Fire Ice, which we saw from our opponent. Obviously it has the usual suspects of Force of Negation, Violent Outburst, the Evoke Elemental package, the Shardless Agent. Sideboard cards to worry about include Blood Moon, Force of Vigor, Foundry Breaker, which can be frustrating, and Subtlety. I think given we're on the play, we want to ignore Grief. The cards I'm going to look to bring in are Chalice to play on 0 and Solitude to play in response to Living End and exile a creature, so we get a 3/2 lifelinker in response. I think what we're looking to board out are 2 Spider Umbras, Audacity, Cartouche, and All That Glitters. And instead of boarding them out, I just hit submit, so now I'm running a 65 card deck and I am kicking myself. Don't see a world where we keep this. Let's ditch that. This one, no Dried Arbor option at all, no creature, so mulligan to 5. Alright, well, I've shot myself in the foot here. Pretty unfortunate. Perks of playing online and doing misclicks, right? Alright, so here we see this 5 card hand, and we're just going to have to go ahead and keep this one. Bottom this. Probably bottom Hyena Umbra. It gives first strike though, which is nice. Yeah, I think Spirit Mantle plus All That Glitters is slightly stronger. Alright, turn 1 Scout and pass. Oh, opponent's packing Subtlety, so that's going to slow us down a fair bit. Pitching Architects of Will. We'll keep this on top. Suddenly, bottoming the Hyena Umbra looks terrible because we can't creature plus aura next turn, which stinks a little bit. We should be able to dodge Mystical Dispute because that was Glade Cover Scout, not Slippery Bogle. Alright, go ahead and play Scout out. Resolves. I guess we throw down beside you for future turn. Opponent cycles Curator of Mysteries. And they're probably tapping down one of our lands as well with Fire Ice, if they're operating more of the way that the Rhino deck does. Cycling Waker of Waves during their own turn. Putting Force of Negation into the graveyard. So we'll see what they do about Spirit Mantle here. Actually, no, that's wrong. I should all that glitters. If this eats a force negation, though, this is fine. All the glitters plus Chalice of the Void, it gets the buff from the artifact, so it would be 3 damage instead of 2. We're in a like pretty horrible spot regardless, but I should probably play for the extra point of damage there. Alright, let's play this on 0. Hopefully it resolves. Hopefully no interaction from our opponent. It's a really good top deck. Looks like our opponent just has Evoke Foundry Breaker to remove our Chalice, so that's unfortunate for us. 4 cards in hand still. So we like delayed them half a turn. They missed a land drop. We did not. If we're concerned about Force of Vigor, we could maybe play the All That Glitters post-combat. That doesn't seem like a winning line to me though. Alright, so we hit through. They're on 9. Alright, opponent plays their land out, and I guess it's Shardless Agent time. Yep. Alright, so at least one other copy of Foundry Breaker in our opponent's deck. And that's pretty close to us dead. That is 18 power, so we're just going to go ahead and concede there. Alright, on to game 3. Alright, welcome back for match number 3 here versus Soul Nox. We won the die roll on the play. Keep this hand. We got the first strike plus Admiral's Eyes, which is good into Ragavan decks. Currently missing our second land drop, but potential to find it. Opponent also on 7. And looks like we're reversing either humans or Hammer Time. If it's Hammer Time, they're splashing red for whatever reason. Alright, well, we've just bricked on our land drop, so... Guess it's cartouche. Opponent gets a free card draw, which is like breaking my soul here. And we get to attack for 2. Windswept Teeth for Giver of Runes. That's not great. That means our opponent can indefinitely fog us, but we did find Audacity. Is this just a Hate Bears deck? Is that what we're versing right now? It's entirely possible. God, it feels so bad because if they're running the white, and 1 3-mana spirit that exile stuff off your board, I'm just like pushing them into gas here. I think we just ignore Esper Sentinel and go for tempo though. Alright, opponent's at 10, like a top deck of like Ethereal Armor or even a Forest would be really good. Heliod, okay, so it's some sort of combo deck. Daybreak Coronet, which is pretty useless to us at this point. Sentinel's Eyes doesn't give us the win, so let's go ahead and attack with... that can stay back. Attack with this, opponent can fog 2 of the damage. Sorry, 1 of the damage. Second main light pause and look to kill next turn, hopefully. Alright, so opponent gets Walking Ballista, gives it lifelink. I guess they can make it indefinitely big now and then just shoot us in the face, I believe. Oh, this is just instant life, so yeah. Instant life, infinite life and damage, never mind. Alright, well, I hate these decks, but I mean, yeah, I don't think infinite life should be a win condition personally, but here we are. Alright, well, our opponent's on like a bit of a janky deck and I didn't find much for it, so here's like a Boros mid-range list, which may or may not be semi-accurate to what they're doing. They might be like half in on the combo, half in on mid-range. In any case, Heliod's going to be a pain in the butt. There's going to be interaction of Wear Tear, of Blood Moon. This one's got Blood Sun. This is completely not what we're versing, but anyway, hopefully you get the point. Alright, so cards on my mind to bring in. A couple of copies of Force because A, Blood Moon, B, Esper Sentinel, C, Walking Ballista. Maybe it should even be a third copy. We'll see how we go. Gadok Teague stops nothing actually. That's only non-creature spells. It won't stop the Walking Ballista. Pithing Needle, we can name Walking Ballista. We can name Heliod. That'll help us out. We just trim on all that glitters. Cartouche. And then like Spider Umbra. Alright, so we'll actually drag it out of our sideboard this time, submit, and hope for a better game too. So we see this hand, weaknesses of no like aura in hand outside of Daybreak Coronet, which we can't cast without another one on the field. This is weak into Solitude as well. We can do with a better 5, I imagine. This is slightly better. Bottom the Floofy Paws. Alright, well, hopefully we draw, like, land into a green card, maybe a creature or something. Turn 1 Giver, well, that's not Esper Sentinel, that is a creature. God, this isn't going to really let us attack very well. I think we have to, and then maybe hit land, and then go with, like, Light Paws next turn. Yeah, just missing the land drop is pretty backbreaking there. Opponent plays Luminarch Aspirant. Alright, is this like Legacy right now? Are you kidding me, deck? Get bent, man. Imagine just like wanting to curve out. No greater crime in the world. Opponent's got plenty of action, plenty of mana too. Another Luminarch Aspirant. That's not too bad. I mean, this is the better half of what I want to be seeing. Like, this is much, much better. Alright, so opponent gets an attack for 3. Nope, they're just holding up blocks. They're not even interested in attacking. Very interesting. We want more brick on our fucking land drops, so that's no good on our end. Captain, Ranger of Eos from our opponent. Yeah, well, that's going to search up a free Walking Ballista. And it most certainly does. Opponent's just made like a giant chunky Captain Ranger of Eos. We've hit a land. I think we just go for Floofy Paws at this point and then transition across. Although this gets eaten by Walking Ballista if they play land into Walking Ballista, which is possible. Daybreak, not attack as weak. Rancor isn't using our mana efficiently. Yeah, just a random Solitude as well. You're only versing Aura Hexproof, that's fine. Ballista on 1. Damn, I accidentally skip through those triggers, so our opponent's going to have slightly more Walking Ballista damage now. It's annoying. 1 card left in hand. If it's just the beatdown we're versing, we might be able to get there if we're really lucky. Alright, let's ditch this. We'll get pinged for 3 in the face, unfortunately. Oh, pro green. Yeah, okay. I didn't even see that. Alright. Well, I think we're in a losing position anyway, and if that didn't work, we're pretty screwed. It's like semi-helpful. Alright, dodging Wear-Tear, just attacking in and ignoring... If they have it, they have it. I mean, come on, man. Everything they've had is lined up perfectly with us this game. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Alright, so we hit them to 11. Giver of Runes can give something protection, so if we're blocking something, we have to make sure it has less than 3 power. And our opponent can just make everything big, attack, win. Yeah, okay. Well, we concede. We as much lost to our own deck as what we did our opponents then. On to the next match. Alright, welcome back for match number 4 here. A couple of unfortunate ones there, and this one's not started out too well for us. I guess we go ahead and keep this 5. Ditch Forest, ditch Temple Garden. And rely on Dried Arbor. We're versing Tron. Oh god. We've got to be doomed here. Tron keeping 7, by the way. Yikes. So as mine into Sack Sphere, into what one can only assume is Sylvan Scrying. Yeah. Alright. And Tron's really making a large resurgence here, aren't they? I think we might just... I guess we can try and play it out. They might not have it. We might get there. If they didn't have such a wishboard sideboard... Oh, God. Of course we draw the fucking Glade Carver Scout on turn 2. Classic Aura Hexproof shit. Alright. Well, let's just go here. Let's attack. Yeah, if it wasn't for the wishboard sideboard, I'd probably just concede there. Khan Great Creator means their entire sideboard is wishboard, which means we're not really gaining an edge by conceding for... We might gain an edge sideboard-wise. That would be about it. Alright, opponent plays Expedition Map, Chromatic Star, so that means we're not dead yet, surprisingly. We brick on card draw, really. That's pretty annoying. God, I don't even know how to sequence this here. Maybe it's just Rancor attack for 5. It's pretty bad into Walking Ballista, but opponent could be holding up Warping Whale, holding up Dismember at this point. For green. Oh, he's probably going to Besage You, interact with my land. Yeah, fuck this, man. Alright, GG opponent. Alright, so cards we want to look at here are Force of Vigor, Gadok Teague, and Pithing Needle. Force of Vigor and Gadok Teague are nombo with each other, unfortunately. Floofy Paws is probably our best out to win this match, realistically. Probably something like that. Daybreak Coronet, because they do pack enchantment interaction. And it's that aura that can always easily get 2 for 1 if they target the other aura and Daybreak falls off, so go for that. So if we draw Ethereal Armor and any other 1-mana aura, we could get a turn 3 kill with Floofy Paws. We do have interaction of Besage You. I think this is worth the keep, but mostly because it's got Besage You in it. Turn 1, let's thin our deck because we've seen all the lands that we want to see. Pass the turn. I mean, Dryad Arbor does have utility against Oblivion Stone. That's about it, really. Well, we find Ethereal Armor. Alright, so we are only 1-mana aura away from killing them next turn. Let's play towards that out. Oh, and we see they stumble. They go on Urza's Tower here. We unfortunately hit Slippery Bogle. Alright, so I guess there's no real reason not to go in on Bogle and do it that way. Trigger there. Let's get a... Should lead on Rancor so I get 2 copies of Ethereal Armor. I think I've done this wrong. I think we go Rancor and then we go... Let's go Rancor on the Bogle, get Totem Armor here. Yeah, sorry for sequencing that wrong. Attack for a fair chunk. Oh, opponent just concedes at that point. Alright, cool. On to sideboarding. So yeah, main cards coming out of sideboard are more Besage You from our opponent, probably just efficiency swapping it for the forest there. I have seen Foundry Breaker we saw against Living End, which evokes, destroys an enchantment on ETB. They don't seem to be running that too much at the moment. I think that's more of a main deckable card. Alright, well let's run this back. We still like Evasion because Evasion of Griffspoon is good into Wormcoil Engine. Alright, so game 3 here. On the draw, opponent has mulling in 6. I think we want to do the same. Dryad Arbor is always slow. Could be a little bit quicker because we can Sentinel's Eyes attack for 2, tap Spider Umbra, all on turn 2. Spider Umbra in the second main, but we don't have any interaction and it's a very slow hand. This seems fine. We'll keep this one. Opponent mulls to 5. We probably bottom Daybreak Coronet here, because we're not guaranteed to draw another green card, and we might want 2 Force of Vigors. I don't think that we can reasonably bottom Land or Rancor either. Or maybe we could have bottom Horizon Canopy, actually. That's possible. Alright, well, more interaction with our opponent. Let's just put a stop on our opponent's upkeep. The hard thing is, what are we going to pitch? Force or Rancor? I think we have to pitch Force here. Regrettably. So as is mine from the opponent. Hopefully we slow them down enough now with that. Slow them down further with Boseiju. If they bought out all their forests, we can actually just fully strip mine them here. Set another stop on their upkeep and probably go after mine this time. Maybe we should go after tower. It's more mana. Let's go after mine. Oh wow, our opponent fails to find off that one. Okay, that's pretty good for us. They have the second mind. Lame. Lame, lame, lame. Bit of a weak one. Maybe I should hold that up for Dried Arbor. I'm just thinking about cycling this Horizon Canopy as soon as possible. Oh, don't worry, we've got Dried Arbor up now. Let's go ahead and attack for 3. I mean, hopefully that's our opponent out of Tron lands. Fingers crossed. Yep, Expedition map, and looks like they missed a land drop, so we've slowed them down a little bit, but it's not ideal. I think maybe 1 extra scout on the board, just for a clock's sake. Our clock has been very slow here after interacting as hard as we have. Alright, so opponent plays another Urza's Mind, and next turn comes the Reckoning. Guess we're like dead to Ugin regardless, so we can just assume our opponent does not have Ugin. Man, what I wouldn't give for like another copy of Boseiju here and just to destroy that tower before they can do anything. Alright, so opponent cracks, finding Power Plant. We hit in for 7. It's going to knock him down mostly low. We do have lethal on board, but if they like can't remove Ethereal Armor or Rancor, we will no longer have lethal. I think it's safest to play out the other scout, but that does lose to like Ugin. Anything we do loses to Ugin. Does lose to Oblivion Stone. Opponent goes for 9 mana here. Alright, well, Dried Arbor is coloured, so this exile effect actually exiles the Dried Arbor as well. And yep. We can't beat this card. It's like almost impossible. If we hold up Fetch Land and they're like 1 attack away from dead, maybe, but GG's. Alright, match number 5 here, and god, that was a rough last 3 games that we had, or 3 matches that we had against opponents. We lost the die roll here, no creature hand, let's mulligan. Alright, we'll keep this one. Bottom land, and we can get into it. Alright, well, we're versing some sort of jank or budget deck, because Llanowar Waste into Birds is not a conventional modern deck that I'm aware of. It could maybe be Yawgmoth, because Yawgmoth plays green, black, and birds. Alright, so we find Rancor, which is good for our clock. We'll go and pass the turn. When it plays Butcher Ghoul, I'm guessing it's a Yawgmoth deck. So if our opponent has Grist next turn, they can destroy our Floofy Paws. I'm not sure if we'll actually have a chance to win if we don't go for Floofy Paws though, so let's go ahead and do that and just force the issue there. I think I'm mostly fine trading off the scout here. Maybe not. I don't think it's the card we're going to win with. They could get the free on Butcher Ghoul, play Grist off of Birds of Paradise, like, and then sack the Birds of Paradise that way. I think As long as I don't have Blood Artist, or I don't know, maybe that's wrong. I don't think I'm helping them here. I think I'm limiting their resources a little bit, because then it requires them to have like another one now, right? Alright, there's Blood Artist. Definitely Yawgmoth. Strangleroot Geist. Alright, well, let's just pray they don't hit their guy. If we hit land, we can get close to lethal damage. Oh, sorry, if we get a land here, we can get close to lethal. And not land. Alright, that's unfortunate. Got plenty of Rancors. Let's Rancor for Ethereal Armor. Then I guess we can pitch up Vigilance. Getting a little bit flooded on green mana in hand now as well. Maybe flying is just more important. We already have Trample. Let's go for flying. Alright, well, 2-turn clock at this point. Alright, opponent plays another Llanowar Waste. Attacking in now. I guess we get to win this one. There's the Yawgmoth. So why bother with attacking if you just have infinite life gain and damage, right? I guess we'll make them demonstrate the loop and then we'll concede as soon as this loses its... Yeah, he's already done that. Alright, that's fine. Cool. So I guess in that way we actually helped our opponent to that, although if they give it -1/-1 it would come back with Undying anyway. Alright, so here we can see a Yawgmoth deck. This one obviously doesn't have Llanowar Waste, doesn't have Butcher Ghoul. It could be that our opponent is on a budget version of the deck, which could mean that they might be missing things like Grist. The Grist isn't that expensive in tickets. It's more like the Beside Yous, Endurance, Magus of the Moon maybe. I don't think they're going to be splashing for Magus of the Moon. That seems like slightly greedy. In any case, usual like Force of Vigor, Thoughtseize effects. Interestingly enough, Blood Artist does target, so Leyline of Sanctity will stop that. And Jareth's Messenger also targets as well. Alright, the cards that are likely good for us here are Leyline of Sanctity, Solitude, and Pithing Needle. We're probably at risk of like overboarding here a fair bit, actually. So I think these are our easiest cuts in most games. All that glitters, Cartouche, Audacity. Spirit Mantle's Evasion's just a little bit too good. Crispin's Evasion's really good. The Totem Armor from Spider Umbra is going to be important for protecting our Floofy Paws. Alright, I might just minus like Beseiju, Daybreak, Sentinel's Eyes. I don't really want to minus anything else. 19 land's not too bad. Beseiju's not the best in this matchup. We'll keep this. We're praying for the actual like curving out and tempo of hitting a second land drop. If we don't hit that on turn 2, we're likely just screwed. But if that's the case, I mean, that's the way the league's been going, is we've just been getting screwed every turn. Opponent on 6 cards here. Weakness of this hand also is it doesn't have Trample or Evasion of some description at the moment. Turn 1 Yawgmoth from our opponent. Come on, give us the land, give us the land, give us the land. Come on, deck. Yep, that's the middle finger. Alright, well, go ahead and throw this one down. Attack in, trigger the Yawgmoth. Tripled up on first strike effects, which is never great. I think the double up is probably fine. The triple up's pretty frustrating. So Woodland Cemetery in a deck with Llanowar Waste, this has to be budget, man. Well, Ratchet Bomb. And we got this Ethereal Armor. They've got that Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth's going to have the Undying. I swear to God, what is going on with the consistency of my deck recently? This is completely ridiculous. Alright, attack in. Like, get ready for it as well. We'll start drawing our Leyline of Sanctities, then our Light Paws, and then the game will be over. Alright, opponent with Reclamation Sage, and I guess that happens. I don't have any way to stop that. On the plus side, we have plenty of creatures and auras in hand, so there's a chance to rebuild. God, I haven't seen a Reclamation Sage in a very, very long time. Let's kick it off by attacking first up. See if and how our opponent responds. Alright, they're willing to cash it in now. That seems fine. I don't think we're dead to Yawgmoth next turn. I think we had another turn to wait on this Pithing Needle. Once again, didn't draw land. Pithing Needle probably better than the other draws we've had so far though. Just because we can name Yawgmoth and then we force them to have the interaction. Wall of Roots, yep, that's a big wall. Alright, opponent goes for Cutthroat. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, so no longer would Leyline of Sanctity work against Cutthroat. Alright, well this is just ridiculous, man. It's like W, right? Yawgmoth. Run Physician. Alright, well, no attacks here. Another Young Wolf from the opponent. 1 left in hand now. Guess I just don't have Yawgmoth and we lost a little bit of tempo by playing Pithing Needle. Yeah, I'll take this block given we've got another Glade Cover Scout in hand. That seems fine to me. Yeah, it forces them to have more to actually hit the combo. Once again, we're looking for land. Even if we hit land next turn, it's not like we could have Daybreak Coroneted. Eldritch Evolution from our opponent. Alright, there it is. Foundry Breaker. They've just had it all. And get ready for like the top deck as well. The top deck Yawgmoth is coming. Don't you guys worry at all. Alright, it is a Young Wolf, so it's not there yet. Rancor. I think we just go for Daybreak. Our life total's a little bit low. I don't want to like tap out and give them the attack. That's quite a bit of damage. Alright, so opponent's just going to chump block with Young Wolf, which makes sense. From next turn, we'll be able to give either Trample or Spirit Mantle, get that evasion happening. Alright, opponent played another Woodland Cemetery, so we actually get there. Incredibly. I think at this point they want to hold the Woodland Cemeteries in hand. Alright, attack for a bunch. At least 1 Young Wolf is going to bite the dust here. That's all they want to block with. I mean, it's interesting decision making. I guess they need like 2 of these creatures to combo. I think Wall of Roots could have gone in front there as well. Opponent concedes. Alright, that is the absolute skin of our teeth that we got that one on. I think maybe on the draw, let's change it up a little bit. Let's take out a couple of Floofy Paws because we do have the Solitudes semi in that slot. Bring back in our Vigilance, our First Strike. I think that's fine. I don't think we want Audacity over our other effects here. Is it potentially better than Hyena Umbra? That's leaving us very low on First Strike effects though. Let's just run it like this. Oh, wait. We're taking out Spider Umbra and Light Paws, so we do have room for it. God. My mind is somewhere else today, guys. Apologies. Yeah, I think that boarding's fine. Alright, we're going to see a hand which looks really good from a Bogle perspective. It's really bad into Thoughtseize. We haven't seen a Thoughtseize yet from the opponent, but game 3 on the draw. No better time for our opponent to have it than now. Birds of Paradise, so we dodge it, fortunately. Another Daybreak off the top. Alright, so we have got all the aura quality in hand here. It's all about our opponent not turboing to the combo. If we can have our life total double our opponent's life total, we can dodge the Jareth Messenger kill, as long as they don't have Cutthroat. They don't have... Oh, you're kidding me. Totem Armor, please. Whoa, opponent. What's this? You activated the wrong ability, opponent. Oh no. Oh no, that has to be a misclick. Jeez, I almost feel bad for them. In case they have like another blowing up the board type effect. This is about attacking to Force of Vigor. Again, our opponent's deck appears to be budget 1, so maybe we're going to be a little bit loose. I think we have to make the attack anyway. We can't just like give them infinite turns to get to their combo. And next turn we'd be playing around like a Foundry Breaker anyway here. They didn't have it. They had Bird plus Strangleroot Geist plus Myth Land. We hit Leyline. Alright, well, I guess we're going to scrape it like right at the death here. Yeah, I'm amazed we survived game 2 against this opponent. I think that was very fortunate. Chump block on the Strangle Roost, trample 10, Undying Trigger. Opponent's mana will be taxed here. They could Yawgmoth, but they can't Yawgmoth plus... Or maybe they come with Cord. Can they like Cutthroat or Blood Artist, Court of Calling, sacrificing? No, they can't Court of Calling, sack a bird. I think we're fine. I think we dodged the... What's blue mana for here? Foundry Breaker. Going after our Audacity opponent, that would be pretty good. That one does not come back from the graveyard. It does give us a card draw though. We can cycle Horizon Canopy for an additional one if need be. One card in our opponent's hand. Sentinel's Eyes off the top. Let's sack this. Solitude. All right. You beautiful, beautiful card. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Blocks with the Foundry Breaker now. Alright, so opponent has Yawgmoth plus 1 in hand. How can we do this? I think we can do this in response to them doing their combo. This is going to be the power of Solitude here, if we pull this win. Raise Verge Thicket, that's a bit of a dead draw. We can't Leyline either. I guess our opponent can't actually infinite life us here because they don't have the cards there. Yawgmoth sacking Young Wolf. Sure. What now, opponent? You're on 1 life, and Yawgmoth with like Blood Artist and things like that to operate would need at least 2 life. So now they need a way to gain life, which doesn't seem super likely. They also didn't fog the life gain, which they could have done. Mana from the opponent. I guess Jareth's Messenger would is like a drain 2. Foundry Breaker from the opponent. Sure thing. Going after Ethereal Armor. Yep, I mean, that's all fine. We're not even forced to Solitude yet. We could just cast this for like its hard cast, which would be pretty strong. Yep, attack in. Immediate block with Foundry Breaker. Guess we can go in a little more. Yeah, this one's dragging on a bit. I think we got the victory. I just want to hold this up in response, right? The Solitude up in response. Wow, 3rd copy of Foundry Breaker. Opponent's hitting them. Probably goes after Hyena Umbra to try and blow us out with like Ratchet Bomb. Looks like he's going after Daybreak Coronet. Fortunately, this guy doesn't have flying. I say unfortunately, everyone else is probably like, this card is pushed enough as it is, but I would like to be able to fly over the top. So we do hit a land drop. This does have flash speed. It's fine attacking in. I'm sure jump blocking with Foundry Breaker again. They can only possibly have 1 more Foundry Breaker. They could still have like Haywire Might or something. Eldritch Evolution from our opponent. And I think this is the point where we have to go for the Solitude, because if they get Jareth's Messenger, gain 2 life, that's not what we want, right? Yeah, because then they have like multiple of these Undying creatures that they can continue cycling through in response to the Solitude. So I think we have to do it this way. Opponent, you've gained a couple of life. You're welcome. Alright, and with that the opponent concedes and we get the conciliatory 2-3. So yeah, I mean, not much to defend or excuse. The league was pretty miserable from a few of those matches. We hit Tron again, which does seem to be a pretty difficult matchup. Maybe we should be considering more copies of Gadok Teague as a result. I think if you go up to 2, maybe 3 copies of Gadok Teague, you might want to start diversifying 1 or 2 copies of Force of Vigor to other Besayus. That will make the deck more expensive, as does Solitude, but I think that's just what you have to do because of Gadok Teague's ability being such a nombo with Force of Vigor. I think like a 3-2 split between Force and Beside You is fine either way. With playing Beside You in the main deck, we definitely want like 1 copy of it. I can't stretch the mana base any more than this. Currently we have 3 lands that only tap for green, and that's making it hard enough to get to our white auras as it is. I don't want to remove an additional Temple Garden, Wooded Foothills, Razor Edge Thicket, whatever it might be. For more green cards, it would take up a spell slot, so you'd be looking at minusing out like maybe All That Glitters or Cartouche of Solidarity are my most suspect cards at the moment. So yeah, like Solitude seemed pretty good. I like the fact that we didn't have to spend mana to cast it. We did in the end, but we didn't have to. So I think I'm going to persist forward with Solitude for a bit longer. At some point this might get up to about 3 copies. I don't think I'd be playing more than 3 copies. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is Solitude good tech, or is it just like throwing money at the deck where money doesn't need to be thrown at the deck? Until next time, guys, have a wonderful day. I'll see you then.